podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the Tech Guy Podcast for Saturday, November 2nd, 2019. Rich DeMuro filling in for me. This is episode 1640. Enjoy. The Tech Guy Podcast is brought to you by Epson's EcoTank printers. This holiday, kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. The Epson EcoTank printer comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. Just fill and chill. Check out Epson.com/EcoTankLeo. And by CashFly. Give your users the seamless online experience they want. Power your site or app with CashFly's content delivery network and be 30% faster than the competition. Learn more at twit.cashfly.com.
What's going on? I'm Rich DeMuro, and this is The Tech Guy. This is the show where we talk about technology and answer the questions that you have about your gadgets, your smartphones, your computers, your smart home devices, your smartwatches, whatever else you have at home that says it's smart, but sometimes it makes you feel kind of dumb. That's the stuff we're talking about. These things can be tricky, even for myself. I'm Rich DeMuro, the tech reporter at KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles, filling in for Leo Laporte today. Thanks so much for letting me take the helm today, Leo. I'm also the author of a book, 101 iPhone Tips and Tricks. We can all use those, right? Got a great show lined up for you today, great guests to talk to, but more importantly, it is all about you. You can call in, let me know what's on your mind when it comes to technology, and hopefully we can solve some of the issues that you're having. Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's just a recommendation. Maybe you want to know if you should get one device over another. Maybe it's an error message that's giving you some trouble. Or maybe you just want to know what app is the best for whatever purpose you need. I get these questions all the time through my job on KTLA. People email me every day, and it's so much fun to research the answers half the time because sometimes off the top of my head, I've got this stuff figured out. Other times I say, that's a good question. How do you set up parental controls on the Roku? Let me go figure that out. So I love this stuff. And there is no shortage of tech news every day of the week. This week, lots of things happened. We got some new gadgets, including the Apple AirPods Pro. We got a new deal with Google buying FitBit. We got some new streaming services, and one went to the graveyard, Sony PlayStation Vue. But let me talk about Google buying FitBit, because this is the next this is what's happening, folks. The accessories for smartphones is where it's at. Everyone has a smartphone at this point, or everyone that wants one, I should say. Some people don't. Some people still want a flip phone, and that's fine. But if you have a smartphone, it's gotten kind of, shall we say, a little bit boring. You know what it does. You know what it's capable of. But the next kind of realm is really everything else that goes along with the smartphone. All the smart home devices, the Apple Watch, and of course, Google knows they need a play in this field, and that is FitBit. So Google announced that they are going to buy FitBit for $2.1 billion, more than they paid for YouTube back in the day. And we know that Google needs this because at this point, I have not recommended a Google or Wear OS, as they call it, a Wear OS device for a long time. In fact, I bought one personally a couple months ago just to try it out and use it and see if it was better than the Apple Watch or if it could do what the Apple Watch does. And guess what? I returned it after about 3 weeks because it just couldn't do the things that I wanted it to do. And so now FitBit, they've been around for 12 years, 28 million active users. They've got a great lineup of devices. And what I love about FitBit is that their devices are simple. They do what you need to do. They track your steps. They track your exercise. They track your sleep, something that the Apple Watch does not natively do. And the battery life. These things last 4, 5, 6, 7 days sometimes on a single charge. Those are all great qualities of a smartwatch accessory and a fitness accessory. But for Fitbit to truly be successful, what do they need? They need an ally. And Google thinks they are the ally that can help them battle against the Apple Watch. As I speak this, I do believe the Apple Watch is the best wearable that you can get today. The main reason it's not so good for a lot of people out there is because guess what? It only works with the Apple Watch. If you don't have an iPhone, well, you're out of luck. And that's what's driven a lot of people to Fitbit. And Fitbits work with both the iPhone and Android. And that's one of their best features, as well as sleep tracking. So now here's the thing. When we think about Google and we think about Fitbit, think about all the information that Google now has about you. And that now will include, if this deal goes through, your fitness information, when you get up, when you go to sleep, how much walking around you're doing, how much exercise you're getting. And all of that data kind of funnels in to what Google knows about you. And Google has thought of this because in their announcement, they said, look, we are not going to sell your personal information. We're not going to use the Fitbit health and wellness data for Google Ads. Now, of course, they're saying that today, but let's just say in a couple of months when they realize, wow, this is some good information. Hey, Rich, do you mind just sharing your sleep data with us? Do you mind just if we use that for your information? Because we feel like we can make you healthier if you share that information with us. Well, maybe slowly but surely they'll erode that down. But I do think that this is a good move on Google's part because their wearable platform called Wear OS just never took off. It was never as good. They never had the devices that people wanted. And when you think about a Pixel phone or an Android phone, the lacking or the area that's really lacking with that device is a wearable. And yeah, you could have gotten a Fitbit, but you just don't get that slick integration that you're going to get now that Google is saying, look, we own Android, we own Fitbit. Now let's make these things truly work together while keeping them working with iOS. Not everyone wants to spend all the money on an Apple Watch. Some people just want something a little bit more simple. And now you can get that. I was thinking about this morning. I woke up, I did a little stretch workout, and I got a text from my wife, and she said, wow, I'm impressed that you actually did a workout so early. And it occurred to me, I didn't even think of the fact that she gets an alert every time I do a workout. And also my sister. We're on the Apple Watch together, and all three of us are sort of competitors in this, I don't know what they call it, but it's like an activity thing where you can just share your activity. So every time my sister works out, and believe me, she's a personal trainer, so she's always working out. And so I see her stuff all day long. It motivates me to work out. My wife will see my activity. It motivates her to work out. And so I get where they're going. But think about the data that these companies have on you. And let's just use Google as an example. So now Google has microphones in my home with a smart speaker. They've got cameras in my home with the Google Nest, potentially a Wi-Fi router with their Google Wi-Fi internet. They know my search history. They know my maps history, so they know where I'm going because they're always watching where my phone is. They even know how hot or cold I like my house because I've got a Nest thermostat. Oh, by the way, they also know all the photos I take because they're all in Google Photos. And if you think about it, the last frontier where they really want to know about people is exercise, fitness, and well-being. And now with Fitbit, that kind of closes the loop. I think the last thing that they don't have just yet is the car. And yeah, they're getting some data from Google Maps and when you drive and all that stuff and Android Auto. But the reality is, when are we going to see a Google car gadget where you pop it into your car and next thing you know, it says, hey, we're going to tell you when your oil's low or how you're driving, all this stuff. I mean, imagine this. Imagine this world we live in where these companies know more about us than we do. And it's all in the name of selling ads against our data. That's what this all comes down to. You are listening to The Tech Guy. I'm Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today. We'll have your questions up next at 1-8888-ASK-LEO. Get those phone calls in now. We'll see you on the show. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo Laporte today. Welcome to the show. We've got some great things happening today for you. Lots of talk about technology, lots of great questions. But Kim Schaffer is here to help us out.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Always good to have you.
You are the one that is going through all the callers and making sure we get some great calls on this show. So do we have some lined up? How's everything going for you, by the way? Were you affected by all these fires and power outages?
I had no power for 4 days.
4 days? How did you deal?
My brother evacuated. You know what? I came up here on Monday to charge everything and spent the day. I hung out.
Isn't it crazy when you don't have water, power? Like, you know, if I'm getting something repaired at the house and the guy's like, hey, we have to turn off the water for 20 minutes. It's like it really impacts you. You don't realize.
4 days is huge because
my
you
gosh.
lose everything in your fridge unless you have a backup generator. The entire county of Marin was out. So there was nowhere to get food. So I came up here to get food. I hadn't eaten in about 24 hours and I came up here and got food.
Oh,
it was kind of an interesting experience. It really makes you appreciate the simple things in life.
Yes, the simple things like internet and Wi-Fi and Netflix and the very simple things. But I always say you got to have backup batteries. I know for 4 days, obviously, that is not even.
I'd go in my car to charge up my cell phone, but you know.
Yeah, it's that's wild. Well, I'm glad everything's getting better here in the state. Do you have a first caller we should go to?
Speaking of Netflix, line 3, David in Venice Beach. He's having a problem that I think a lot of us have. I think it's a buffering issue, but you could probably help him better than I can.
All right, Kim, let's find out. David, you're on with Rich.
Good morning, Rich. Nice talking to you.
Thanks for being on. What's going on with your buffering issue?
For the past few months, while watching movies on Netflix, every 2 minutes, I would say, the image freezes for about 2 or 3 seconds now. However, when there is subtitles, for example, it doesn't freeze. The subtitles keep moving. And the sound is fine, too. The sound is perfect, but the image freezes for 2 or 3 seconds and it gets released again.
So what has changed in the past 2 to 3 months?
That's the only thing, where every 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe 1 or 2 minutes, the image freezes for 2 seconds, and then the movie continues.
But what have you changed with your setup? Have you changed internet providers? How are you getting all this to your TV?
That's the thing. Nothing has changed. I watch everything through a projector on a pull-down screen. So I project my things from Epson. But and when there's an update from Netflix, not from Netflix, but from the PlayStation 3, then I make the update. So nothing has changed except for the updates that I make regularly every few months.
Okay, well, here's what I would do. I would, now, does everything else work at your home with the internet?
Yes.
Okay, because, Netflix has a website called fast.com. You can go there from your... Now, it's tough because, do you have a web browser on this PS3 or no?
I have a web browser. I can never use it.
Okay, well, I would try because you want to do the speed test on the device to make sure, just for starters, that your speed is okay. And Netflix, by the way, does not need a lot of speed to do anything. I mean, people have these 100 megabit connections, 200, 500, 1,000. You don't really need that. All Netflix needs is like 5 megabits per second to stream in like 4K. So don't even worry about if you think your connection's too bad for Netflix. It's probably fine. But you just want to make sure you have a consistent connection. So go to fast.com, do a speed test from the PS3, and that's where you want to start. And make sure that everything's good there. Then once you do that, I would actually uninstall the Netflix app from your PS3. And then I would restart the PS3, make sure all your software updates are in line with the PS3, and then I would install the Netflix app once again, sign in, and go again and see if that helps. Have you done all those things?
No, I haven't, but I sure will.
Okay. That would be the way that I would tackle it, because you want to start at the beginning. You want to make sure that your box is updated, then you want to make sure that your internet is okay, and then you want to start fresh with the installation. What I'm guessing is there's some sort of little hiccup that's happening in this app. Something along the way got in there that's just kind of jamming things up over the past couple of months, and that's what's causing this little buffer issue. Because look, you're streaming on a device that a lot of people have. The PS3 is not some random thing. So clearly, Netflix is updating the app for that. And I think that it's just something that is small and easily fixable with those steps. Does that help?
Yes, I'm sure. I will try those things. Thank you so much. So fast.com and then the restart everything.
Yeah, so fast.com, that checks the speed of your device. Do that from the web browser on your PS3. Again, uninstall Netflix. do all the software updates for the PS3, then reinstall Netflix and make sure it's all working. And I want you to let me know, David. Give me an email or a tweet at Rich DeMuro and let me know if that worked for you.
Well, dude, thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much for calling into the show. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go to Dr. Bird in Laguna Niguel, California. Dr. Bird, you're on with Rich.
Yes, Rich. By the way, my name is Gary.
Oh, Gary. Hi.
I go by Dr. Bird because Leo refers to me as Dr. Bird because I'm a wildlife photographer. I call in a lot of times to help him out with Canon digital SLR equipment.
Okay, great.
Anyways, the problem I'm having now is on my telephone. And you know what? A lot of people that are listening to this call are probably just going to think, oh, he's just going to talk about camera equipment again. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, folks. And listen, for the people that live in remote wilderness areas, this concerns them. I don't live in a remote wilderness area, but I go to remote wilderness areas to do my work, photographing birds. I can tell you, Rich, do you ever go out to Enzo Borrego Desert State Park? Do you ever go out there?
No, but I really want to because I'm planning a trip there because I want to take some astrophotography pictures with the Pixel 4.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Best place to take astrophotography, up on top of Ranchita, up on top of the S-22.
Okay.
Best place to go.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I've done that up there. Yeah.
So what's on your mind? What's happening? What do you need help with today?
Cell phone.
Cell phone,
Here's
okay.
the issue. My Galaxy S7, Samsung Galaxy S7, along with every other smartphone, and a lot of people that are listening will probably understand exactly what I mean. These phones do not have an antenna. Now, how do we hook up an antenna to these kinds of phones?
What type of antenna?
Just an antenna for better cell reception.
Oh, for better cell reception. Oh, that's...
Example, Rich, if you take a flip phone and you go out to places like Enzo Borrego, with a pull-end antenna, you know what? Those people are able to make a cell phone connection. I'm not concerned about data. I'm talking about, an actual phone, because I was in a wilderness area 2 weeks ago and I heard gunfire. And I went to call 911. It's a place that I love to go. And no 911.
Okay, well, here's what I would recommend. I don't have a ton of experience with these external antennas, and I feel like at this point, they were big back in the day when people, when reception was a little spottier, but I understand what you're talking about. You're kind of in the middle of areas that don't have as much reception, but I would check out products from a company called WeBoost. I did try one of these one time, and we did a little test where we put it in my car and we tried to see if it pulled in a better signal. It worked, and I think for what you're talking about, emergency situation, it may work, but the problem is when you're out in the middle of nowhere with no reception, you can't really rely on anything to get you 911 if you're in an area that is truly remote. Even with one of these things, you may not be guaranteed a signal. So I'm hesitant in recommending something and saying this is going to fix all your issues when you're taking pictures out there, but I think your best chance is something similar to a company named WeBoost. So I would check that out and see if it helps you. They're expensive, but that's the company I know that does what you're talking about. You are listening to The Tech Guy, Rich DeMuro, filling in today for a vacationing Leo Laporte. We've got Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, coming up after the break, and more of your calls at 1-8888-ASK-LEO. 8888-ASK-LEO. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, the show where we talk about technology and answer your tech questions. My name is Rich DeMuro, the tech reporter at KTLA 5 in Los Angeles. Also on social media. Some of you might know me from there. Maybe not even from TV. Who knows? We are talking tech, and I've got a great guest with me. Scott Wilkinson is our home theater geek. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rich. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. This is kind of funny. So I got a one of those. You spend a couple bucks at Best Buy and they give you those little reward certificates.
Yeah.
So I got a $5 reward certificate because I recently bought a new Sonos speaker. So I guess that was enough to pushed me over into that $5.
Push you over to $5.
Yeah, $5. So I tweeted, and this is why I'm telling you, I said, I just got my $5 reward certificate. I think it's time to buy a TV. You know, the TV was like $1,600. Isn't that what they want you to do?
Yes, of course. I want you to say, "Oh, $5. I'll put that towards a TV. That takes me over the top."
Right. So, and then the best part was, because it's tough to know when people are joking or not on Twitter.
Yeah,
but so I got a whole
course.
bunch of tweets from people saying, about the TV that I picked. I think I picked like the 75-inch Vizio, and people were like, "No, you should go with the LG. You should go with this. You should go if you really want." It's just. I think that's where I last saw you, was at Vizio when we were checking out their TVs.
That's right. You and I were checking out the new 2019 line earlier in the year.
So do you still like the Vizios or what?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a great value leader. They now have they're using quantum dots in many of their TVs, even down to the mid-range now. And quantum dots is a technical term for a technology that basically gives you brighter colors, bolder colors, more saturated colors, and that's in LCD TVs. Now, we're not talking about OLEDs. We're talking about what Samsung has called QLED,
right?
Which is now a generic term that a lot of companies are using, and it's very confusing because it looks an awful lot like OLED.
Right.
There's only that little thing in the Q that makes it different. But that Q stands for quantum dots, and they're LCD TVs, like LCD TVs have always been, but they're using quantum dots in their backlight to achieve a better performance, definitely.
Right. And anything with the name quantum in it just sounds awesome.
It's gotta be good.
It's got to be good, but yes. So I heard that you have some viewer questions, or some people emailed you about some things.
Oh, I get a bunch of emails from people, and I'm happy to get them, and I try to respond to as many as I can, and certainly bring them up here on the show. Adam Mayick wrote me a question about the Sony X900F, a very fine mid-range LCD TV, 4K, HDR, Dolby Vision, all that stuff. His problem is that he's also got an Apple TV 4K, and he plugs it into the TV via HDMI. And the weird thing is that when he plugs it into, there's 4 HDMI inputs, and when he plugs it into HDMI input 1 or 4, nothing shows in 4K HDR. When he plugs it into 2 and 3, it does. And he's going, wait, what?
Yeah.
And the sad fact is that most TVs today, when they have multiple HDMI inputs and they're 4K and HDR capable, all the bells and whistles you want today, some of those HDMI inputs operate at the currently highest possible bandwidth of 18 gigabits per second, which is what you need for 4K 60 frames a second HDR, high dynamic range. The other HDMI inputs on the TV operate at 10 gigabits per second, 10.2 to be exact. And that will not accommodate 4K 60 frames a second HDR.
So you're saying that not all of the HDMI inputs on the back of TVs are created equally? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing.
And how's the average person supposed to know this? Because I remember when I was plugging in a Fire Stick, a 4K Fire Stick from Amazon, I was looking in Amazon. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, Scott, but I love this about Amazon, and something that Netflix does not do. But Amazon will tell you how your picture is streaming. It'll show you at the bottom when that playhead starts. It'll go 1080, and it'll go Ultra HD when it snaps into Ultra. I love that as a nerd.
I do. I love that too. I love getting that feedback, that information of what's going on.
Netflix doesn't want you to have that information, right? Because they're just like, I get it. It's like they want to make things as easy as possible. But I think nerds out there like myself just want to know, like, hey, am I streaming at 4K or am I not? Right?
Exactly. I do too.
So anyway,
and I think a lot of people do want to know that. And if it shows up just for a minute or a second as a bug and then it disappears, who cares? That's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
It's better.
So it wasn't snapping into Ultra 4K or Ultra HD because it was the wrong input.
It was the wrong input. Even worse, dig this. In some cases, you have to actually go deep into the menu structure of the TV, find the control, and manually tell it that you want it to operate at high speed.
Oh, okay. So who is going to do that? So why do they do this? Why do these manufacturers do this to us? Is it a cost thing?
No, it's not. Well, the having to go in and manually switch it is not a cost thing. It's a compatibility thing. They want their HDMI inputs out of the box to be as compatible as possible with legacy equipment.
Okay.
With older equipment, because a lot of people still have a lot of older equipment, and if they plug something into the high-speed HDMI input and for some reason it doesn't work, then they're going to get frustrated too. So the manufacturers have chosen one level of frustration versus another, if you know what I mean.
Well, and I see, okay, so their intentions are good because they're saying, look, for the devices, the amount of devices out there that may be incompatible with this higher speed, if we put it that way out of the box, let's kind of put it the other way and let the people who kind of know that go into the settings, because they might be the ones that are a little bit more videophile.
That does make sense. I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, but that does make sense.
I'm giving a lot of benefit of the doubt to these companies. But I'm not sure.
Well, it is a very frustrating thing to have to know that. And it took me a while to figure it out even. I was reviewing I would think I was reviewing a Sony OLED a couple of years ago, and I couldn't get Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk to work plugged into what I thought was the high-speed HDMI input. Now, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk is from a UHD Blu-ray, is 4K, HDR, 60 frames a second. It's one of the only movies shot in at a high frame rate. It was actually shot at 120, but on the HDMI, on the Blu-ray, it's 60. And I couldn't get it to work, and I had to call Sony, and Sony said, oh, well, you have to go into the menu and go down to here and go down to here and select that one and enable it. I said, what? Are you kidding me? Who's going to know how to do that?
Well, you did.
Only because I knew who to call at Sony.
That's wild. And I just got in the chat room, by the way, Mike B says, on Netflix for PC, if you press Control-Alt-Shift-D, that will show you the stats.
What?
So there you go.
Okay,
but that's on a PC. I mean, that's I'm talking on Fire Stick or on any of these other things, Apple TV.
Yeah. Apple TV, which is what this reader or listener was talking about. He's got an Apple TV.
So when in doubt, if something's not working, try the different inputs and maybe go into the settings on your TV if it's truly a problem.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Good advice. So and the other problem is I have all my TVs mounted on the wall, but when they mounted them, they put through a whole bunch of HDMI cables that come out the bottom,
Ooh,
and
yes.
so I had to go through and stick each one into the back of the Fire Stick and see, it's kind of it's a little bit of a process. You know what I mean?
Yes, a little bit of, especially if you bury all your cables in the wall, which looks nice.
Right.
Looks great, but then when you upgrade, when you upgrade that TV to 8K,
yeah.
You're going to need a new cable in there.
Scott, how can folks get in touch with you? TechHive.com?
TechHive.com and Scott at TechGuyLabs.com.
All right, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet.
We're going to have some more of your questions after this at 8888 Ask Leo 1-888-827-5536. Back after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, the show where we talk about technology. Rich DeMuro sitting in today for Leo Laporte. You can find me on social media, facebook.com/richontech. Got a good community there of folks chatting about tech and other stuff. Twitter.com/Rich DeMuro and Instagram, my new favorite, @RichOnTech. Can you believe that Instagram is now a way that people get news? I didn't believe it until I got a new producer at KTLA who's a little younger than I am, and she said, how come you don't put any effort into Instagram? And I said, because nobody cares. Who wants to see pictures of me eating food? She said, no. You got to put stories on there, put information on there. And I said, who looks at Instagram for information? And she said, a lot of people. And I said, okay. And so sure enough, we started posting to Instagram, and people, it's amazing. It's a whole platform that people use not just for fitness and food and fashion, but people like to discuss tech stuff on there and see tech stories. So anyway, find me on there at Rich on Tech. Let's go to Trina in Azusa, California. Trina, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. What's on your mind?
Great. Well, I'm a brand new iPhone user. I've historically been on LG and Samsung, very happy. But anyway, I decided to join the iPhone community. I have the XR, and I don't understand why I get green dots on my pictures. Yesterday was my birthday, and we're in a restaurant. All the pictures have a green dot in it, on our face, a green dot.
Really? A green dot on your pictures?
Yeah.
And is it?
Yes.
Is it on your? So it's on every picture, no matter what.
It is, and the lady that took my call, sorry, she is experiencing the same problem. She's just never questioned it.
And
so when I'm aiming.
Okay,
or when the picture's being saying, you can also see the green dot like in the air, like a beam.
So is this every picture, or was this just pictures in it? Is this every picture you take, or is it pictures in certain lighting?
It's pictures from what I see, pictures in certain lighting.
Okay, yeah. What I think is happening here is that is sort of a reflection, because there's several lenses inside the iPhone, and what happens is I think some of the light is refracting off some of those lenses. Now, it shouldn't happen, but I think that it does happen. It's kind of like a lens flare, but it's when your phone is aimed at a strong source of light generally. And that's when I see them. In fact, with the new iPhone, I was noticing some of that in my pictures. And it's not a huge problem, but it's definitely annoying. But I think that's what's happening. And I actually am looking up an article from iDownload blog as early as 2016. And apparently people have seen these green dots on their pictures. But it seems to be when there is a strong light source in your picture. So I'm guessing that the restaurant you were at was a dimly lit restaurant with some lights in there, like some lights.
It was dim. It was dim, you're correct.
Yeah. So I think that's what's happening. So I would say I don't think this is necessarily a defect in your phone. You've got the iPhone XR, which is a good phone. It's got a great camera. I don't think it's a defect. Now, if it starts happening on some of your other pictures, I'd be concerned. But I understand. You just switched from LG after all these years, and this is your first entree into iPhone, and you're like, wait, all my pictures are ruined from last night.
Right. It's annoying. It's annoying. So basically there's no getting around it. Maybe I need more light, or how will I know for next time? If there's no getting around it.
Well, I think the way to do it is it's the way you aim your camera. So if your camera's aimed up at a strong light and you see the green light, just try to angle your camera just a little bit different. It might just be a fraction of an inch that you can rotate your camera to get rid of that, because it's really just, I think, some sort of refraction happening inside the lens. So
I will definitely try that.
Yeah, try that.
And never cross my mind. Okay.
Because we don't want your pictures to have a green dot on them. I mean, that's not any good. Now, if you want, you can go in and try to, Photoshop them, or use an app like Snapseed, which I love to, it's actually a pretty cool trick inside Snapseed called a healing mode. And you can try this with your picture. So get Snapseed, and I've done this before. In fact, I was out with my sister, and we took a great picture at a winery, but behind us was a restroom, and it had like a big picture that said, men or women or whatever it was. And I showed her, I said, watch this. And I put it into Snapseed, and literally you just take your finger when it's in healing mode, and you just kind of brush your finger over the part that you don't want in the picture, and it will magically erase that part of the picture. It's not always perfect, but it's pretty convincing. And especially if it's a simple picture, it works really well. So you can try that and see if that works. So
I definitely will. So Snapseed, SNAPSEE.
SEED, Snapseed.
Okay, got
Trina,
it.
what made you switch? What made you switch after all these years?
So I was happy with Samsung and LG, and just the hype from all my friends, the GIFs, the this, the that. It was just for years my friends were after me, and finally I did it. No regrets, but the picture quality from Samsung is outstanding, as well as LG. And I was on the fence with the Google Pixel 2, and I just went ahead and tried the iPhone. But it's a learning curve with these different phones.
Oh, yeah. Well, now you're on the blue bubbles as well. So now all your friends, I'm sure they love having you on iMessage. All right, Trina, thanks so much for the call. I do appreciate it. Let's go to Ron in Los Angeles. Ron, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich. Good show. Thank you. Last weekend, you did a piece on KTLA on facial recognition. Excellent piece, but I cannot find it on your Seen on TV website or KTLA's website, even yours. Can you tell me where to go?
What was I actually don't recall this. What was I talking about with facial recognition?
You were talking about, I believe it was China, how they take advantage of facial recognition in the day-to-day life and tracking people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that could have been, maybe it wasn't necessarily in my segment, but I'm definitely aware of this happening. I mean, this is happening everywhere. Facial recognition is huge, but in China, they're using it in a very big way. It's been documented. And here in the U.S., we're a little bit more concerned about this, I think, and it's not as acceptable, but it's still happening. But I will send me an email. I think that's the best way to do it. It's rich@ktla.com, and I'll find some information. I can actually look in our system and see exactly what was mentioned about that, Ron, because there's a lot written about it, and it's not just necessarily one thing. But I don't think that was my segment. But here's the thing. I'm on KTLA, and any tech segment or anything that's mentioned that's tech, obviously people come to me and ask me about it. So, but let's throw it to Leo right now. Leo has a message for us. Leo.
Our Tech Guy Show is always brought to you by those amazing Epson EcoTank printers. Man, I love these. This holiday season, kiss expensive ink cartridges bye-bye. Epson EcoTank comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. With supersized, easy-to-fill tanks, you can print thousands and thousands of pages, from holiday wish lists to letters and cards. Epson EcoTank is literally changing the way people print. With easy-to-fill, supersized ink tanks, you will make fewer trips to the store, which means less frustration and more time to treat yourself and others to something nice. So give yourself the gift of time. Give yourself an Epson EcoTank. I got 2 at home. I love them. When you're thinking about the perfect holiday gift, add the EcoTank printer to your holiday shopping list so you can fill and chill just like I do. Check out Epson EcoTank printers at Best Buy, Staples, or epson.com/EcoTankLeo. Transform the way your home or office prints and do away with out-of-ink frustration. Go to Epson, EPSON.com/EcoTankLeo. EcoTank printers. Just fill and chill. Epson. Exceed your vision.
Thanks, Leo. And speaking of changing things, the time is changing, and I didn't think I needed to mention this, but I've gotten so many emails about it that I need to. And this is you've probably seen headlines or maybe a news piece that says certain iPhones are going to stop working tomorrow, Sunday, November 3rd. And here's the thing. It doesn't affect that many phones, but it does affect one particular phone, and that is the iPhone 5. And the problem is, after this certain day, 12 a.m., November 3rd, it will no longer get GPS location. It won't get an accurate GPS location unless you do a software update. And that means App Store won't work, iCloud won't work, email, and web browsing. But again, I don't want to alarm you. This is if you have an iPhone 5. And I've gotten enough emails about this where clearly people have seen information about this and they're worried. But here's the thing. You can't download the latest software to an iPhone 5. You can't get iOS 13 on it. The latest software you can get on an iPhone 5 is 10.3.4. So if you still have an iPhone 5, and you're talking back to 2012, some people may be using it. That's great. Go into your settings, go to General, tap About, and make sure your software is 10.3.4. If it's not, do the old software update, and that way you'll be prepared for tomorrow. More of your calls at 8888 Ask Leo, 1-888-827-5536 after this. Scott, are you still there? What's your pick for a 70? I'm thinking I'm going to upgrade to a 75-inch TV. What's your pick?
75-inch.
And here, I'll do it. I'll do it like every email I get. And by the way, I don't want to spend anything.
Well, if you're on a budget, my general budget recommendation is Vizio.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's what I joked. I mean, I think it was $50 $15.99 for that 75-inch or
for the 75-inch. You know what? I just looked this up. Hang on a second.
It's kind of like the ones that I was looking at was like the Vizio 75-inch or the TCL. And I know the 6 series everyone loves. The only thing is I don't need Roku. Like I don't.
Right.
I use other things.
Vizio has its own. So.
Yeah, and I don't need that either. But I'm going to hook up either Apple TV or Fire TV.
Right.
So I don't really care about that.
So there are 2 P series from Vizio. I would definitely get the P series as opposed to the M series. They all use quantum dots. The difference is the number of local dimming zones and the brightness. The regular P series 75-inch is now $1,700 on Vizio's website. 75 inches for $1,700. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's $1,600 now on sale.
That may be
the Vizio 75-inch. You're talking the P series Quantum.
Yeah, it's called the it's called the P759.
P759.
This year's model.
Okay,
this year's model.
Let's see. Amazon. Oh wow, Amazon can deliver that. Let's see. Best Buy. Amazon's got it for $15.99 with delivery. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's $100 off the sale price on the Vizio website.
Oh wow! Now if you go to Best Buy, they're $15.99, but they say it's $900 off, which is kind of. Did they ever sell it at $2,500? Maybe when it first came out.
Well, their list price that they've crossed out on the Vizio website is $22.99.99, so $2,300.
Well, that's interesting. So they're saying it's even more at Best Buy. That's kind of weird.
I hate when they do that.
I mean, so
they inflate the supposed MSRP so that they look like they're giving you a better deal.
Right, save $900. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say.
But let's see when I tweeted it. Yeah, but everyone's selling it for this. So that's a pretty good one, huh?
That's a good one. That has 240 local dimming zones, 1,200 nits peak brightness. Now the PX75, which is $1,000 more, so you probably don't want to get that, has twice as many local dimming zones, and the more the better by far for sure. And 2,700 nits peak brightness, so it's way brighter, way more local dimming zones, but it's $1,000 more.
Right.
So if you really aren't into spending that kind of money, I would definitely say the P759.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't need to spend all that much. I mean, I don't really watch TV, to be honest. So it's mainly for the kids and my wife.
Oh well, then this will be fine.
I mean, a
TCL 6 series would be fine too.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's just I don't need the other. Hold on, I'm gonna grab.
You don't need the Roku.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, the Vizio's got. Okay. Well, off he went. I will come back to the chat room. Hey, everybody. Let's see. John in Iowa says, what do you recommend for a brand of TV that has smart TV features on it? Well,
sorry to run away.
That's okay. There are none. I don't know of virtually any TVs that do not have smart TV features. They all do. So you're not going to find one without them.
Weren't they doing a thing for a while where they do like a monitor, but you can't really get that anymore.
The last time I knew of that was the Pioneer Kuro.
I remember
must
that.
Be like 10 years ago now. They were selling a monitor that had no tuner, had no smart features. It was just a display. I would love more manufacturers to come back with that.
Yeah, but you know what, though? The average consumer doesn't want it. They actually, I don't want the smart TV feature, but when I talk to people, they all want it. So I guess it makes sense if you're in control of your situation. You know what you want. You know what I mean? And so do I. But if you're kind of like...
A lot of people don't.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want to deal with that,
Right. They don't even want to have to think about it.
Right, exactly. Which I get. So,
yeah, I do too.
Twisted Mister says TV manufacturers sell usage data, so it's a profit. Yeah, that's the real reason right there.
That's true. Yep, You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
That was actually the first the first video I ever did that went viral was actually about Vizio. And it was when I discovered that they were doing that, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait. And I get like they understand what you're watching, like if you were on a tuner. But when they said we scan like your satellite and your CD player or your DVD player, I was like, wait, what? Hold on. That's crazy. Yeah, and I don't think they do it by default, but they try to push you to do it, right?
Right. Yep.
I mean, that's wild to me.
Exactly right. It's a profit center. And Swamp Rat needs a tuner in his TV. And, an over-the-air tuner, virtually all TVs have that as well. I think at CES this year, we will see ATSC 3.0 tuners. We were talking about this last week a little bit, that we're going to start seeing ATSC, the next generation of over-the-air digital broadcasting tuners in TVs. I would be surprised if we didn't. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the broadcasters are really pushing for that because that's a profit center for them. I mean, they're getting then they get real-time data on who's watching, what you're watching. They can target ads towards you.
Right.
So
and ATSC 3.0, the new standard, also has a lot of IP built into it, and I'm sure that the two main reasons for that is to be able to deliver content over IP, over the internet, and the other is to deliver targeted ads.
Right. Yeah, but I'm fine with that since I make my living off of broadcasting. I'm fine with the new broadcasting technology to come through because I mean, if you think about broadcast TV, it's just crazy when you think about that it's just it goes out and that's it. You don't know what happens to it after that.
Right, exactly. Mike Heiss, my good friend, says we will see next gen TV at CES. I'm sure of that. He also says by law, if you have a TV, it has to have a tuner. So
really?
If you call it
TV, right,
as opposed to a monitor,
right,
it has to have a tuner in it.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro sitting in here today for Leo Laporte. We've got your calls at 8888 Ask Leo. We're talking about technology. You got a smart home gadget. You got your phone. Need an app recommendation, website that does something. Whatever you need, we'll help you out. Let's go to Ann in Long Beach, California. Ann, what's on your mind?
Ever since I upgraded my iPhone to the new operating system, when I try and charge my phone in my car, I get a notification saying accessory not supported. It is an Apple Basics cable, but I've never had an issue before this.
So it won't charge your phone in your car anymore?
It does, and then it suddenly stops when I get a message saying accessory not supported.
Okay. So a couple things could be happening here. Now, does your phone charge just fine everywhere else, or is it just in the car?
It's just in the car.
Okay, so it charges at home, you plug it in, different cable?
Yeah, it's the Apple cable.
Okay. So I think it's to troubleshoot this. I mean, since it's working at home, there's a couple things that could be happening. I could say that the bottom of your phone, there could be some lint in there, and that's what's causing the connection to be interrupted. But since it charges fine at home, I don't think that's the case. The other thing is that it could be the cable. And how long have you had this cable?
Probably, I bought a new one like 6 months ago.
So this is just a 6-month-old cable?
Yeah, from Amazon Basics.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I mean, Amazon Basics is fine, but again, these things do stop working. And now I thought it could be one more thing, but do you have CarPlay in your car?
No.
Okay, so you don't.
Unfortunately.
Okay, so the only other thing I can say is that there's one setting that USB accessories does your car connect to your phone in any way?
Yes.
It does. How?
Through Bluetooth.
Okay, so it connects through Bluetooth. Okay, so that's probably not going to be part of the problem here. I think it's probably the cable. That's what I would guess, and I would try. Now, can you take the cable from inside and try it in the car and see if that works? Have you tried that?
Yeah, and you know what? It does work fine. So
okay,
yeah, so it probably is the cable. Then.
I think it's the cable, and here's the reason why. When in the car, when you plug in your phone at home, it's kind of like a one thing. You plug it in, that's it. But in the car, things are moving. The cable, you move it out of the way. It gets thrown on the floor. So I think that the cables in the car just go out faster than other cables, and they get twisted a lot easier than the other ones. So I'm going to say that it's probably the cable. So I would go ahead and buy a new cable and see if that helps, and let me know.
Okay, yeah. Do you recommend a car charger at all, or whatever is fine?
You mean a type of cable?
Yeah, like a good car charger.
I mean, I think you're fine with the Amazon Basics. I mean, if it depends, are you plugging this into a USB port on your car, or are you plugging it into the what used to be called the cigarette lighter? Now it's the 12-volt charger, I think they call it.
Yeah, it's the cigarette lighter, now 12-volt charger or whatever.
Okay, so if you want the fastest possible charge on your phone in the car, you want something called USB-C PD. And so write this down. USB-C PD is the newest protocol for iPhones. What kind of iPhone do you have?
7 Plus.
Okay, so if you want the fastest possible charging, on the websites, when you go on Amazon, look for something like a cigarette lighter that's USB-C PD, and that will give you the fastest. And then the cable you want is a USB-C to Lightning. And if you get that, your phone's going to charge a lot faster in the car.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, Ann, thanks so much for calling in today. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right, thanks.
Okay. We have, well, this is probably a good time to talk about my book, by the way. I do have a book. It's called 101 iPhone Tips and Tricks, and I just updated it for iOS 13 because, I don't know, by the way, I've been getting so many emails about iOS 13. People just don't like it for some reason. And I think the reason was when it first came out, there were so many issues with iOS 13. I mean, we're already up to iOS 13 point, I think it's like 2, which is it's only been a couple months. I think the book came out in September. So iOS 13 is not evil. It's not bad. I think that it was a little bit rushed, it seemed, and that's why everyone's kind of blaming all their iPhone problems on iOS 13. And it's been a rough ride with iOS 13. But there are a lot of new features. I talk about them in my book. Everything from dark mode, which you've probably already discovered, swipe to type. There's a new feature that stops robocalls. You can create an iPhone profile or an iMessage profile. You can choose Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connections faster than ever. And if you've updated to iOS 13, you've probably noticed all the crazy privacy scare tactics to get you to be more private on your phone. So if you've used an app for a while, it will show you a little map of all the times that app has requested your location information. And you have an option now to say only allow while I'm using this app instead of always allow. But so that's one of the things. I also talk about how to get Siri to play radio stations, find out if movies and TV shows are streaming for free. And I did have an old book that this one is kind of a revision of, and some of the favorites from that book are in here as well. How to turn your iPhone into a magnifying glass, scan a document, and use your phone as a level. It's 101 tips. And even if I think it makes a great gift for anyone that has an iPhone, check it out on Amazon. It's called 101 iPhone Tips and Tricks. Let's go to Mike. Speaking of phones, Mike is in San Marco, California. Mike, what's going on?
Hello, Rich. I was calling in reference to if you could explain how text messages and phone calls go through. I was in the desert that Dr. Berg was talking about in Anza Borrego this past week, and in an actual campground, but they have limited Wi-Fi is what I think is probably the issue, but I can get texts, I can make phone calls, but Gmail, email stuff is not working. If you could explain, is there just two different methods that those are transmitted by, and why is one working and not the other kind of a thing is my basic question.
Yeah.
And by the way, go out there and visit that area. It's absolutely phenomenal.
I stayed one time at the 29 Palms Inn. Is that kind of the area you're talking about?
Oh, no. It's Anza Borrego Desert State Park is 600,000 acres state park, and it's kind of east of Indio, I guess, and south of the Salton Sea.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I need to go out there because I was telling an earlier caller that I got the Pixel 4 and I want to try the astrophotography on it, and it's really tough to find a dark place in any sort of area near a city. But I do remember the stars when I was in 29 Palms were just amazing, so I'm sure they're just as amazing there. Okay, so...
known internationally as the dark sky area of one of the rural areas of dark skies. So, Palomar Mountain is not too far away, which, basically wants to work with dark skies. So,
right.
it's a really, really cool area. The stars are phenomenal and so on out there.
Oh, I can't wait.
Communications is limited because of its remoteness.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we've all become so accustomed to having our smartphones, at all times. And I think this is the problem. So what's happening is you're saying you're getting calls and texts, but you're not getting any of your email. So what's happening is there's several different networks that your phone works on. And I believe that the calls and the texts are coming through kind of the older networks, which is like the 3G networks. And those are what's delivering the texts and the calls. And the reason why you're not getting your email is because that's trying to go through the internet, which is over LTE. And your LTE connection might not be out there. So they might have a 3G, but not LTE. And that is what I think is happening here. So that's kind of the short answer, the simple answer. But let me just give you a tip. If you're ever in a place where you're not getting a lot of coverage, you can go into your iPhone, and under cellular, you've got cellular data options, and you can drop your phone, your iPhone at least, back to 3G. And sometimes that will be enough to get you a better connection wherever you are. I've done this in stadiums sometimes where the connections for LTE are not very good. You're listening to The Tech Guy radio show. We'll have more of your phone calls at 8888 Ask Leo after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Vaughn is in Columbus, Indiana. Vaughn, what's going on?
Hey, I recently cut the cord with AT&T and DirecTV and installed an HD antenna up in our attic, and it's working great. I'm about 40 miles from Indianapolis. I pick up all the Indianapolis stations. But as anybody that's cut a cord probably knows, is that you really miss that DVR function. So I was looking at DVRs, and the vast majority of them require internet connection. I don't have internet anymore because I was formerly through AT&T, and I was hoping to do without it because my wife and I both have iPhones, and we have Cricket, and we got unlimited data through Cricket. But when I called one of the DVR companies that was listed as a top brand and asked them why I had to have internet, they said two reasons. One, if you wanted to be able to download to other apps, and the second was simply for the TV guide itself. And the question I have for you is that right now with my antenna and my Samsung TV, I have a TV guide in my TV, and I don't have any Wi-Fi that my TV is connected to.
Well, that data is coming through the antenna. That's the rate. One of the TV stations in your area is delivering that guide data to your TV, and through your.
Not deliver it to a DVR.
Well, the DVRs don't subscribe to that. That's the difference. They're not getting that they're not subscribing to that, and I think that's the difference. So, which brand did you try to get?
Honestly, I've forgotten. I wrote it down. It was not a brand I'd heard before, but it was a $200 machine that did everything. It was on several of the top lists of DVRs to get if you cut the cord. And so it was a Quadro, so it tuner, so it would record 4 shows at one time, but I'm not going to be downloading anything to my iPhones or to my iPad. The guide issue is the only issue I have.
Well, and here's the thing. So I think now, do you have a hotspot on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you can get around this by using the hotspot on your phone to connect this to the internet every once in a while. So there's two over-the-air. There's a couple over-the-air boxes that I would recommend. The first is from Amazon. It's called the Fire TV Recast. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so that one I'm guessing is going to require internet for at least the setup. But I believe you could probably get away with, once you get through the setup, just kind of disconnecting it from the internet, and you'll be fine. And once, just connect it every 2 weeks when the guide data runs out. That's one that I'd recommend. Now, I don't know if that works. It may say, hey, we're not going to record anymore because we don't notice that you have no internet. But I don't think that's the case. And I have one of these at home. It works great, by the way. And you can stream to your TV, you can stream to your devices, but that all goes over Wi-Fi. So that may be a problem with your, streaming setup. The other one I'd look at is Tablo.
That was the name of the one I called about.
Okay, and they were the ones that said you have to have the internet to get it.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna be hard pressed to find one of these that doesn't let you do it. The only other thing I'd maybe look at TiVo, because the way TiVo has worked in the past is they download about 14 days of guide data, and it's going to be a bit more expensive than some of these other systems, but I think that the TiVo might actually let you go weeks without connecting to the internet. So I know it's an older solution, but I think that might work in your case.
Okay.
Have you looked into that one?
No, because I have not looked at TiVo in the past just because it had a monthly fee attached to it.
Right. Yeah, it gets complicated when you don't have the internet or you don't want to have the internet with these things, because it's just the way that all of these devices are crafted is to work in coordination with the internet. And I get that you don't have it, you don't want it. The only other thing I'd say to look into perhaps is T-Mobile just kind of opened up internet for everyone through the air. So you can go to tmobile.com/ISP and see if they're serving your area with that. And it's $50 a month. I know you don't want to spend the money on the internet, but you might just have to, or you might, I think, look into that and look into the TiVo. I think that might be the best way to do it, Vaughn. Good question. I know that's the ultimate cord cutter right there. I mean, he wants to cut the cord and literally not pay for internet, which is great. I mean, if you can get away with that, that'd be awesome. But it is tough in this day and age with all these DVRs that do rely on the internet for the guide data and to kind of get the software updates and to do everything they need. I call it phoning home. They need to phone home so they can get the data. Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today. Let's get a special message from Leo right now.
Tech Guy Show brought to you quite literally by CacheFly. Yep, when you download the show, you're almost certainly downloading it from our CacheFly Content Delivery Network. It's a CDN. You know what a CDN does? It's a multi-server host. So you're getting, when you download our podcast, you're getting it from a server near you. That means it's faster, it's more reliable. It also means a 100% SLA. CacheFly can't go down. It's got servers all over the world. There's always one on somewhere. So you don't ever have to worry. We've been on CacheFly for a decade. They very kindly, when I was struggling with our bandwidth use, they said, Leo, we can help. And man, have they. I've never had a single care about CacheFly. No 3 a.m. calls saying the CDN's down. I hear from people all the time who say, this is working great. I get your podcast faster than anybody else. If you deliver content to your customers, your audience or listeners, if it's podcasts or applications or SaaS, or, if your company's website is tied to company revenue, give your customer the speed they need with CacheFly. CacheFly CDN delivers media-rich content up to 10 times faster than traditional delivery methods and even up to 30 times faster than other big CDNs. They guarantee the best experience for all your customers, no matter where they are, no matter what device they are and it never goes down. And you don't have to worry about usage spikes. We use CacheFly to deliver literally petabytes of data every month. Petabytes. And we don't have to worry about spikes. If you think about it, there's a lot of downloads of this show on Sunday night and Monday morning. At big peaks there. All our shows is like that. It's very peaky. But what we work with, and you can do this too, you work with CacheFly, you show them your needs, you show them your CDN bill or your data bill, and they say, yeah, we can spread this out over a year so it smooths out. You don't have to worry about hitting bandwidth caps or anything. You know what you're going to pay month after month. It's a custom billing plan tailored to your needs, your usage, based on yearly trends. That's really nice. On average, customers who switch to CacheFly save more than 20%. 20%. Look, I know, I'm a business person. I know how expensive it is to give every listener a podcast or every user an app or a website. Every single user costs you money. Do it right. Save money. Do it faster with CacheFly. Right now, if you want, just because you're listening, CashFly will give you a complimentary analysis of your existing bill. So you show them your bill. You say, hey, look, what can you do for me? And they will tell with no pressure. They're really nice guys. They will tell you what they can do for you, how much they can save you. You're going to be blown away, I think. Go to twit.cashfly.com. See if you're overpaying by 20% or more. Twit.cashfly.com. Thank you, CashFly, as always, for making the Tech Guy podcast possible. Now back to the show.
Thanks, Leo. All right, so I've been watching something new because it just launched, Apple TV Plus. Have you heard about this? If you bought an iPhone or an iPad or some sort of Apple product, several different models, Apple TV, you get a free year of their new streaming service, which is called Apple TV Plus. I know it's very confusing. You've got the Apple TV, which is a piece of hardware. Now you've got a new app called Apple TV, and then you've got a service called Apple TV Plus. So you can access Apple TV Plus. A lot of the episodes are streaming for free right now, and you don't necessarily need an Apple product to watch. They've got an Apple TV app for the Roku. They've got it for the Fire TV, also Samsung TVs and some Sony TVs. But this is the new streaming service, and this is, I wouldn't say it's their answer to Netflix, but they're, slowly but surely doing original content. And I sampled a show called The Morning Show. I'm in TV news, so of course that's the first show I wanted to watch. It's got Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and it was weird to watch a show that was produced by Apple. And by the way, the Apple product placements are very clear in this show. Everyone's using an iPhone. A lot of people have Apple Watches. A lot of the computers are Apple computers. But it's a slower show, but I liked it. And I've been chatting with all my TV friends on Instant Message, and we've been chatting about whether we think the show is realistic or not. It's not. It's a TV show, whatever. But again, if you bought an Apple device in the past, since September 10th, open up the Apple TV app on your device, and you can claim your free year of Apple TV Plus. My kids were watching this new Snoopy cartoon, Snoopy Goes to Space. There's a show called Dickinson about Emily Dickinson. Not too much to watch just yet, but hey, it's free if you bought an Apple device. Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today. We'll have more of your questions after this at 8888 Ask Leo, plus a visit from Johnny Jet. Welcome back to the Tech Guy radio show. We're talking technology, answering your questions, and we've got great guests lined up, including a guy who has been everywhere. Johnny Jet, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
I've got a quick story for you. I always tell my guests a story because, I'm like, I got to tell you this. So I'm coming up here for the show, Northern California, and I check in on my Southwest flight. And I get a text from them about 3 hours later saying, oh, your flight's been canceled. Like, oh, okay, whatever. They just say, rebook your flight. Okay, fine. Well, the problem is with Southwest, you want to check in the second you get that.
24 hours.
Right. And so I did that, and I got like A30. Well,
that's good.
When your flight gets canceled and you're the last person to check in for the new flight,
C50, whatever it is.
Right. I was 30. Like B60, I think. But my point is, B60. That's kind of a little problem in their system. Even though it said, by the way, when I went to switch my flight, it said, don't worry, we'll preserve your boarding number. They did not.
They did not.
So anyway, I love Southwest because it's such an easy airline, I get it. You're not doing that for like status and all this stuff, I don't think. Well, I guess you could. Right. But it's such an easy airline. But it's one of those things. It's a very first world problem, but it is kind of, it's just
Well,
funny.
the companion pass on Southwest, if you fly Southwest a lot and you earn the companion pass, it's probably the best deal out there where, you can bring your companion everywhere you go and just pay the taxes and fees, which is, sometimes less than $10.
But they just upped that, didn't they? Didn't they just up the amount that you have to fly, I think? I got like an email from them saying...
Yeah, but you can get the credit card, and that will help offset it.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of tricks and stuff. But by the way, when you did get that flight canceled, did they say you could just rebook it through the through their app, or
Yes.
did you have to call them?
No, I just did it right through the app. It was actually very easy, and they didn't.
Good.
So it was funny. I was thinking of changing my flight anyway to do a different time, and if it cost a couple $100, but for the difference in price. But with this, it's like they obviously did something on the back end where they just cleared out all.
They waive everything.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And did they give you options or just one flight?
No, they just said just rebook, and they just you could rebook to anything because it was canceled.
Okay,
so
perfect.
it was
That's
very
great.
easy. And by the way, I just looked up the email. Companion Pass went from 110,000 points to 125,000 points beginning January 1st. So that's still,
Gotcha.
if you're flying a lot, you're
It's still within reach, but. So, I went to United's Media Day the other day in Chicago. And one of the cool things about they're spending a lot of money on technology. And one of them was if you do have a canceled flight or something like that, they will let you rebook and see all the options in their app instead of calling, standing in line, tweeting at them, which American still makes you do, which I fly a lot of American Airlines. But that's the best thing about technology now is it's really starting to make it a lot easier for people to even rebook. If you have to spend the night in a hotel, you don't have to wait in any long lines. They'll just say, hey, just use the app. So always download the airline, whichever airline you're flying, their app to find out and allow notifications, push notifications.
Great advice.
That will give you a lot of information. But one of the coolest things that come out of the United's Media Day, and I just sent you guys a link and put it in the chat room, is that they're coming out with this 3D technology where they just started with one plane, their new CRJ 550, which is a really cool plane in itself. But you can go in. I put the link in there. I can also put it on Twitter. And actually, I just put it on Twitter. You just look at my replies, and you can just go through every cabin and see exactly what it's like. And they're really actually going to give Seat Guru a run for their money because now you don't really need to go to Seat Guru because you can see exactly which seat lines up, if there's a window or not, how much leg room there is.
And it's better than Seat Guru because you're actually seeing the inside of the plane.
Exactly.
And this is probably what Seat Guru aspired to, but I don't think airlines are going to let them in to do these 3D mapping. It's kind of like Google Street View inside an airplane.
Right. I'm sure Seat Guru was like, we needed to get this done because that will really save them if they can do it for all the airlines. But if they can't, then the airlines are all going to start doing this. And United just started with the CRJ 550, which is a new plane that has 10 first class seats, 20 economy plus, and 20 regular seats. But this plane used to be a different plane, CRJ 700. But they actually renamed it themselves, and they took out 20 seats, which is unheard of for airlines to do that. And one reason, there's a few reasons why. One is because they have a scope clause with the pilots, which is a whole long story. Another one is that they can fly one less flight attendant. So it's every flight attendant, every 50 passengers, there has to be one flight attendant. This has 50 seats, so it's one flight attendant. But another big reason is that it's a much more premium product. So if people are flying internationally in their Polaris or first class, they don't have to get on a small rinky-dinky regional jet. This one is actually really nice.
They don't have to get that dreaded mixed when you go to search, where it says your first, your connection's going to be in the back of the bus.
Right. And these are all going out of Chicago. But the coolest thing is that they put in these closets that will hold everyone's carry-on bag. So you don't have to gate check. And that is a huge plus.
Yeah, the overheads. So how did they do that? How did they do that?
So they're not overhead. The overheads are still really small. It's they created these locker compartments.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
If you go into 3D right now, you can see it. Go into first class. It's at the end of first class.
Okay.
Beginning of economy.
It's almost like being on a train where you put them in the.
It is.
It's kind of the
exactly.
end of
So that holds 50 carry-on bags. So. It should hold everyone's bag.
Now that's interesting. Why would they do that? Because they must be saving money on the other end of not having the baggage handler. Because why would they not want people to check their luggage? I guess maybe for connections and stuff.
You're still checking luggage. This is just for carry-ons because those overheads, if you look at the overheads right now, the overheads are too small to even put, a regular carry-on size bag. This has to be like a briefcase up there or a purse.
Here's my bigger question. So I do this. And I always recommend when you're flying, check your seat every single day. If you're not paying for first, like 99.9% of people, including myself, just flying normal. I'm always checking for the best possible seat I can get for the price I paid, right? And I check every day because things change. But my question is, does the average person care about this, especially when it comes to economy basic, when you can't even choose your seat? So is this an upsell? Right. Is this just to get me to say, oh, you know what, maybe I will pay the extra $50 and get that nice extra leg room? I mean, there's a reason why United's doing this.
Right. Well, you know what? To answer your question, two things. One is that you should be signing up to Expert Flyer and using their seat alerts. Do you do that at all?
I don't, but I should.
Okay. Well, Seat Alert will tell you, so you don't have to keep checking every day. You can go into whatever flight you're on, and you can choose specific seats, or you can say I want all windows, all aisles, and once that opens up, you'll get an email. And you can then go right into your reservation and change that flight, which is, I love that. And I use that all the time. But Expert Flyer does charge a subscription fee. I think it's like $10 a month or $100 a year.
You got to fly a lot for that. Before we go, I just want to talk about this LAX thing, because we've got this new way of getting Ubers and Lyfts at LAX.
Yes.
Is it working? Is it not working? You have to go to a standard area.
It has not been working. The first couple of days, for sure, it's not working. Although LAX has these Twitter handles that actually are showing the wait times, and they have gone down. And I've actually had readers comment saying that, it's just been confused. Everyone's confused, especially the Uber and Lyft drivers. So, check out the flight stats.
Fly LAX
think it's getting
stats.
better. Fly LAX stats is one of them. Also, Fly LAX, I think, is the other. Fly LAX Airport is the other handle.
Okay.
That
Current
you want to
wait
check both
times.
of those.
Got it. Yep. 44 minutes ago, taxis were 1 minute. Uber was 8. Lyft was 8.
And the other day it was over like an hour or two.
Wow.
So you really need to either have a friend pick you up or get a limo company. I use Black Lane. Full disclosure, I work with them, but they're great. They can still pull right up. They can meet you in the terminal, or you can just have them pick you up curbside. Same with family.
All right, Johnny Jet, how can people find you today?
Johnny Jet, JohnnyJet.com. Sign up to the newsletter. It's free, and you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
I wish we had more time, because I can always talk to you for long. Johnny Jet, thanks for joining me on the show. We'll have more of your questions after this at 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. This is The Tech Guy. Sorry about that. I always,
no worries. I saw the time.
Oh, you can see the time? Okay.
No, I can't see the ticker, but I have a good understanding. It's like almost 10 minutes. But
I don't understand the I probably should know this better filling in for the show, but I don't understand the hard brake versus the soft brake. So I know that there's some brakes that you can probably they're a little bit more fluid, but I don't really know the difference. So I just always go to, as soon as I see that red, I'm like, all right, I got to go.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I would do the same thing. But just one quick thing for anyone who's listening now, LAX. So today they changed it where, if you're picking someone up, you now pick up in the medium, the middle island.
I don't like that, because there's too many trucks there. Like those buses stop there, don't they? I don't. Well, that's kind of dangerous.
Now they're making the shuttle. Now they're making shuttles go on the inner one.
Oh, okay. So they switched it.
Before, if you picked up in the at the middle island, you would get a hefty ticket, and the cops are always there. They'll just jump right on you if you just try and be real quick and grab the person and throw their stuff in their bag. But I've seen numerous times people getting hefty tickets. So. It's always changing. It could change again tomorrow or later today. It all depends on how it's working right now.
Right. I was going to say, it depends, right?
That's a good thing about LAX, that they are trying to test these things. Something had to be done, because the traffic to get in there was insane.
On a Sunday night, I'll never forget, I go to sleep pretty early, and I was dropping my mom off to the airport. She doesn't like to take Uber or Lyft, which would make my life so much easier. In fact, when I do get her, when I can't do it myself, I will send her like a black car.
Good.
Because, the little person
that's a way to do it.
With the little sign, and I love that I can do that for my mom, because she's my mom, right?
Right.
But
I
anyway,
can get you a code, by the way, for Black Lane.
Okay, good. Let me know, because I haven't heard of that one. It's called Black Lane.
Yeah, it's owned by Mercedes, and I think I think there's some Middle East money in there, but it's really great technology.
Okay. And so same thing, you do it on your phone or what?
do it on your phone, you need at least an hour notice.
Okay. Yeah.
Notice.
It's like
You need
more
to make a
setup.
reservation.
Yeah. Right. But that's
But
the
we
same
can talk
thing.
about this on another show. But also, what they do is what I love that would be great for your mom if she's traveling internationally is that they offer airport concierge service. So when my mother-in-law lands or she goes to Toronto Airport and she doesn't like going through the airport by herself,
Yes.
I'll have there's a concierge waiting for her curbside when she pulls up, and then when she lands in London, there's a concierge waiting for her the moment she steps off the phone. I'm in the plane. There's someone holding her name up, and they walk her through customs. She bypasses a line. They'll put her right into a car, and then she's off. It's like makes it so easy for people.
Right. That's I mean, that's the thing.
a whole
Like
other subject, though.
Yeah, right. We take for granted. Like I was thinking about this with the whole Lyft thing. Is like, look, I go to Terminal 7 United, and I walk straight across to the Park and Fly. Which is next to Terminal 1, right? And it's easy. Right. It's a 5-7 minute walk, whatever, no big deal with my luggage. Right. But my mom, I can't expect her to do that. And even with her luggage to go to the Uber pickup area, that's a problem for her. She can't drag her luggage that far,
For sure. You don't want to make any parent do that or anyone with families. It's going to be a hassle. So this is when you need to splurge on a car service or have a friend or family pick them up.
Although I do have some friends that they have family members come in on that flyaway bus, which is fine. Look, I get it. Everyone, there's different folks. Everyone's different. But
right.
I remember doing that kind of stuff in college, like where you take like the Super Shuttle. And actually, the first time I ever took Super Shuttle, I didn't know that they stopped like 100 places.
That's the worst. It's the worst.
I'm like, where are we going? What are we doing? It's like it took so long to get to the airport. That's why they pick you up for 3 hours.
I walked home one time from the airport because I didn't want to spend money. This is like 15 years ago. Or 20 years ago. I literally walked home from the Imperial Terminal.
Oh,
it took
my gosh.
to Manhattan Beach. I was like, I'll never do that again.
Johnny Jet, all right. Thank you so much. Got to run.
Right, take care.
All right. See ya. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro sitting in today for Leo Laporte, who is on vacation. You can find me on Instagram at RichOnTech. My website is richontech.tv. I'm the tech reporter for KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles, just in case you're wondering. Max is in West LA. Max, welcome to the show.
Hello, and I have a question about the iPhone SE.
Okay.
Now, I'm currently I have one that I've had for a few years, and when they offered the 13 point whatever first update, I did it. Then I had to do the next one, and then I did the latest one.
Right, 13. There's been a lot since 13. There's been 13. There's 3 little ones, and then there's a big one, 13.2.
Yeah, that's what I did last night.
So you're up to date.
I was afraid to do it, but I was getting so many reminders on my phone. It just drove me crazy. But my question is that I hate I love the mini plug for my headphones because that's what I mostly use it for, is to listen to music on iTunes. And when I'm not calling or texting or emailing, that's my thing. And so in January, when Apple had those, they were selling out their inventory of the SEs, I bought one because I figured I'd just use it after this phone died or was hit by a car or something. So that phone came with a iOS of 11 or 11 point something. Will that will that function after in a year or so or whenever it is that I decide to switch over to that phone?
So you're trying to hedge your bets and keep another one ready to go for when this one inevitably dies or gets ruined or something. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, what I would do is I would probably unbox that other phone and keep it up to date as you go along, because
really?
Yeah, I would do that because you don't know what's going to happen, and right now it's on iOS 11, and so. I think. How long ago did you get this phone?
January, when they were having their big closeout sale and the store at the Apple stores.
And when you unboxed it, it had iOS 11 installed?
It was 11 or 11 point something, maybe 11.4. I don't remember.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I would probably keep it up to date and just to make sure that you can do that. And I don't see much more of a runway though for iOS updates on that phone. I would say you might get iOS 14 on that. but you may not. It may not work on that phone. So, and don't forget, even if it still stops at iOS 13, it'll still be usable. But I would hate to see you in a situation where you have iOS 11, you unbox this thing in a year, and it just doesn't even connect to the server to get an update to the latest iOS software. That's what my concern would be.
Yes, my concern is why bother? Why even bother to update it from 11?
Well, because if you don't do that, you're going to miss out on a lot of features. Some things may not work. Some of the apps may not install properly. Apple wants you to continue to update these things, not just for security, but also for certain features rely on the newer versions of the operating system. So, for instance, if you wanted to watch Apple TV on this, the new Apple TV Plus service, you would not be able to on iOS 11 because it doesn't have that functionality built in. And if you try to access it, it's just going to not work. And so, yeah, you can try to use iOS 11 for as long as it will let you use that. And some of these, Apple, if there's any company that has a pretty good track record of letting you use stuff for as long as possible without updating, it's Apple. But personally, for security reasons, I wouldn't do that. And also for feature reasons. I mean, there's certain things that they build into these things that just get better over time. So...
but 13 was such a disaster.
Well, yeah, it's getting better, and I agree with that. So I don't think you need to do this tonight. I'm just saying in 6 months, maybe, I would probably look into opening this box and just making sure this phone is up to date. You don't have to do it, but I'm just saying I'm giving you my opinion on what I would do personally if I was trying to keep this phone for as long as possible. And iOS 13 has been a little bit of a rough intro, but it's definitely getting better for sure.
Well, that being said, if I don't use apps and I don't care about all this other fancy stuff like Apple TV and all this stuff, and all I do is email, telephoning, and texting and listening to music, and occasionally browsing something on the web, do I need to go beyond 11?
Again, not necessarily. But can I guarantee that everything's going to work just the way you want it to? I don't know. I mean, you've updated your phone now. It's just one of these things. It's an unknown. And so I think if you want to take your chance and just leave it in the box and just open it up when the time comes, then go ahead and see if everything works. If it doesn't, hopefully you're still able to update that to the latest software. But again, what we're seeing, with the iPhone 5 right now, and I get that phone is 7 years old, is that people have to update it before a certain date or else it will stop functioning. And that's because of a certain feature in there that needs to get an update or else it will just stop working.
And there's probably going to be a date when they will stop supporting the SE.
Exactly. And I would expect that to be probably next year. If I had to guess, I would say probably next year. Now, just because it's not supported doesn't mean it's not going to work. It just may not get future software updates. And in general, I always recommend doing the software updates. I don't think you have to do them day one. For instance, my MacBook, I have not updated to Catalina, which is the latest desktop version or the latest desktop operating system from Apple, because I wanted to make sure that the apps have a little bit of time to get compatibility figured out before I update my computer. I do rely on my computer for my job, and so I want to make sure that everything's working. And, I use Final Cut. I use a couple other apps that I rely on a daily basis. So in general, I get it. A lot of people are very hesitant to do software updates because you understand how a device works. You know it works. You've gotten to this plateau with it, and you don't want to change from that. And I totally understand that, but for security reasons and for features and all that good stuff, I do recommend software updates. And if you've done the 13, if you've already gotten up to iOS 13 and you're hesitating about the new iOS updates like 13.2, go ahead and do it because Apple is making it better with every little software update. It was a rough start, but it has definitely gotten better. Speaking of the holidays, I'm a data nerd, and I love that Adobe always puts out some interesting information about the holidays and holiday spending and what's going to be hot. This is from Adobe Analytics. Consumer spending is going to hit an all-time high this holiday season. $143.7 billion will be spent between November to December, 14% more than last year. Cyber Monday is going to remain the biggest online shopping day. $9.4 billion will be spent on that day. Black Friday is next. $7.5 billion will be spent that day. And Thanksgiving, who thought that people shop on Thanksgiving? $4.4 billion. Now, the most is the golden hours of retail, as they call it. Cyber Monday from 7 to 11 p.m. is going to bring in 30% of Cyber Monday's revenue. Makes sense. After people get home from work, they've been looking at this stuff all day on their computer at work. Now they finally plunk down that credit card. And did you know we only have 22 days between Cyber Monday and Christmas, which is 6 fewer shopping days than in 2018. All right, so what about some of the hottest toys? Owlies, Bloom Dolls, Candy Locks, LOL Surprise OMG Swag, no idea what that is, Fashion Doll, and Kindy Kids. And when it comes to my gamers out there, Nintendo Switch Lite is going to be hot, Sega Genesis Mini, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Jedi Fallen Order, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare. By the way, the best days to shop on Black Friday, you're going to see the biggest discounts for appliances. And then if you want those electronics, Cyber Monday, best deals for TVs. And after Christmas will be the best deals for electronics. Save those gift cards. Use them after Christmas. You are listening to Rich DeMuro here on The Tech Guy, in for Leo Laporte. More of your calls after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, the show where we talk about technology, your gadgets, all those good things you have at home that you plug in, you set up, you do the software updates. They don't work from time to time. You get frustrated. You stop using them. You plug it in again. You try it all over. That's what happens in my house. I mean, I test this stuff for a living, and believe me, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, how is the average person supposed to figure this out? Instructions could be written poorly. Maybe they missed a step. But it's fun. That's why I love it, because it's fun to figure it out. And when you get your gadgets to do what you want them to do, it's a good feeling. And it is very cool. My name is Rich DeMuro. I'm the tech reporter for KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles. You might see me on the KTLA 5 Morning News from time to time. I talk about technology there. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those good places where I post about the coolest stuff that I see. And believe me, I see a lot of it. That's what I love about my job. I get to go places, see stuff, play with things before anyone else. In fact, the best part about my job, and other tech people know this too, is that sometimes we get to see stuff before anyone else in the world. And that is what's so crazy, because I'll be seeing this gadget from one of the big companies in a room. It's what's called a briefing, and you can't talk about it for a week. And so you sit there and you see all the rumors and you see all the speculation and all this stuff, and you can't say a word about it because you know about it. You've seen it. You've played with it. But it's also interesting as a journalist because you have to figure out the right questions to ask about something when you have no knowledge of this thing except for what they've told you. And so you have to come up with interesting ways of asking questions of things that you've never seen before. And it's pretty fun because, believe me, the companies don't always tell you everything. You got to figure out stuff on your own. And one new product that came out this week are the Apple AirPods Pro. We got a little surprise reveal from Apple. I've got them in my hands here. AirPods are the most popular headphones in the world, and for good reason. They're super simple. They go well with the iPhone. Everyone made fun of them when they first came out, when they were first unveiled a couple years ago, but they turn out to be really good and really useful and pretty simple. And the battery lasts a long time. And you just stick them in your ears and you're done. You don't have to worry about wires. And now the AirPods Pro are not replacing the AirPods, but they're in addition to the AirPods. These sell for $250, and they're a little bit smaller. Well, they're bigger and smaller. The tip is bigger, but the stem is smaller than the standard AirPods. And the AirPods Pro, the main new feature is that they have what's called active noise cancellation, which means when you put them in your ears, you can block out the world around you. Now, I will say, I think, and I'm not an audiophile, right? I'm not this person that can tell you the difference between, the best bass on headphones and this stuff. I'm just an average person that wants to listen to music on the airplane, when I work out, whatever. And these do a fantastic job at that. Now, I will say, I was on the airplane yesterday. These are not as good at noise canceling as my standard Bose over-the-ear or Sony over-the-ear headphones. I will tell you that. But will I continue using them on the plane? Probably, because guess what? The size of them is about 1/10 of the size of my standard headphones, which means one less thing to pack. And they're $250, which sounds like a lot for headphones. But when you look at the popular noise canceling headphones out there from Bose and Sony, you're talking $300, $400. So these are actually cheaper in some respects. And they also add some functionality that you just can't get anywhere else, like the H Siri. I'm not going to even say it out loud because I don't want to activate your iPhone, but HEY Siri, you can just use these totally wirelessly and just say that to the air when these things are in your ears, and you can play music, you can call people. It feels very futuristic, very magical. That's a feature that we had on the second version of the AirPods, but I never got those. So to me, it's new to me. Now, some people may not like the way these fit in their ears because it is a tighter fit. It's more of a sealed up fit, which means your music sounds better, it sounds louder, but for some people, it could feel like you're underwater, or that there's a lot of pressure inside your ears where you hear yourself really loud. And Apple did some things to make that less of a problem with these. But I still do find that it does close out outside sound even when you don't have the noise canceling feature turned on. So there's two features. There's transparency mode, which lets you listen to the world around you. And then there's noise cancellation mode, which actively cancels the noise out from around you. And it does almost too good of a job. In fact, as I was walking to the airport through the parking lot yesterday, I was thinking to myself, this is kind of scary how quiet it is inside my head right now. I was listening to music and I could literally hear nothing else around me. And in a city, I know people like in New York City and other big cities that are moving around a lot, there's so much noise, you want that noise cancellation. But my advice is, it might be best when you do not have to be aware of your surroundings, like if you're seated or if you're not actively moving, because I could see if you're trying to make your way around New York City, there could be something you miss if you're totally in this bubble of quietness. What else do you need to know about the AirPods Pro? They are available now. They are water resistant, which is a change from the old AirPods. They're also sweat resistant. I never had a problem with those working out with the sweat or the water, but they are resistant at this point. And now the only thing I found that's kind of tricky is the stem. On the old AirPods, you used to tap to do things like switch songs and activate Siri. On the new ones, you squeeze the little stem on it, and the stem is tiny. And that is not the easiest thing to figure out. And so I will say, if you get these things and you struggle with that feature, you're probably not the only one. Because I thought I was the only one, and I started reading tweets and reviews, and other people were saying the same thing. And I said, okay, I'm not the only one. But again, AirPods Pro, I think for the majority of people who get them, they will like them a lot. They're $250. The standard AirPods are $159, but that does not include a wireless charging case. So when you include the wireless charging case, they're $200 for the standard AirPods. These are $250, so $50 more gets you noise canceling. It gets you a tighter fit, more volume, and I think a better experience overall for a lot of people if you want that noise cancellation. Getting some questions about the AirPods in our chat room. Some folks are asking how long they last with the batteries. Well, they didn't really improve the batteries on the AirPods Pro. They are rated at 4.5 hours if you're using the noise cancellation, but you've got that case which also doubles as a charger. And so if you pop them back in the case, in just 5 minutes, you can get a pretty decent charge that will get you through a bigger part of the day. Let's see, what's the charge there? With that, you can get up to 24 hours of use, and that's the same as the standard AirPods. So they didn't really improve the battery life, but I have never had a problem with the battery on the AirPods. But let's see, 5 minutes in the case equals around 1 hour of listening time, and that is a new feature. That's something that the old AirPods 15 minutes in the case gives you 3 hours. So, it's a little bit less, but there you have it. AirPods Pro available now through Apple, and your questions are coming up next at 8888 Ask Leo, 1-888-827-5536. Got a tech question? Dial me up. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Gary is in Scottsdale, Arizona. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. First, I really, my whole family loved your book, the iPhone, all tips and tricks. And I'm the center of attention at cocktail parties when I'm playing with my phone, and I show them all the great things that can be done, and they're all like, wow, that's cool.
It's like being a magician with your phone.
The question I have, I listen to you and Leo all the time. I love both your shows. I'm just trying to figure out something. I'm an average techie. I'm a big PC guy. I live and die by my Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft OneNote. And when I hear Leo or others it seems like they're higher on the Chromebook experience. But hey, I have enough trouble just using OneDrive, and the frustration comes in where, I'm often, when I'm traveling, I do not have Wi-Fi. And if I were on a Chromebook, and I don't even know if Chromebook can use the Microsoft Outlook world, but you can bet the minute I'm offline, I need a file, and I can't get it. So I'm just wondering when I hear people try to push things towards the Chromebook, am I missing something? Would that work for me, or must I, and I want to, stay with the PC environment, with the Microsoft environment? And by the way, I love Windows 10. I've never had a problem with it. So,
well, Gary, the fact that you said you live and die by two major Microsoft products, which are Outlook and the OneNote, I would say no, the Chromebook is probably not good for you, because those are, you may be able to get a version of those on the Chromebook, and maybe through the web you can access that kind of stuff, and you can obviously hook up your Outlook email to, a Chromebook email. But the reality is, if you're living and dying by those two programs, Microsoft is probably going to be best for you, because the Chromebook is great. And I think the reason why Leo and other tech folks recommend the Chromebooks is because they are super simple. When you look at 99.9% of what people want and need to do online, and I'm not talking business people, I'm talking average people who are sending emails, they're creating simple documents in Google Docs, they are watching YouTube, that's it. They're really just surfing the web, watching YouTube, and doing some email from time to time. That is all accomplished in a web browser, and that can all be accomplished inside a Chromebook. And the reason why people like Chromebooks is because they don't get viruses. The software updates are automatic. So when it comes to Windows, you're always doing a software update that could take an hour, and it's got to restart your computer several times. With Chrome, it's just simple. With the Chromebooks, it's just simple, and that's the reason why people are liking them. But with that said, I think, Gary, I don't think it's right for you because of the two programs that you mentioned. If you told me, hey, Rich, all I want to do is surf the web and do my email, fine. But you're not. You're using these specialized programs, especially OneNote, that I don't think will run as well on a Chromebook, if at all.
No, and the thing that concerned me, and I don't know how much conviction Leo had, but a few weeks ago I heard him when he was singing the praises of Chromebook. He went a little further and said that he anticipated, and he seemed to be very down on the whole Windows environment, and he always pushes people towards Linux. He made the comment, he says he wouldn't be surprised within a certain number of years that Microsoft just goes away and everything would be the Chromebook type environment. And of course, that scared me.
Well, Windows actually tried that with, I think they call it like Windows S, and it's kind of a Chromebook-ish version. Even Windows 10, for a lot of the consumer PCs, when you get it, they only want you installing apps from the Windows App Store, whatever they call it, the Microsoft App Store. So, that's part of it. And I think, look, and it's all part of, it's whatever you need. So for a business user, if you're in a business environment and you're at a company that uses a specialized program that does not work on any other program system except a PC, then you're always going to need that. But you're looking at a lot of companies now are issuing Chromebooks to their employees because they're super simple to maintain, they're cheap, And a lot of the employees just need access to email and the web. And a lot of these programs, too, that companies are using are going towards software on the web. And so it's very easy to kind of adapt that. Now, for me personally, I'll be honest, I fell in love with the Chromebook, the new Pixelbook Go, which is the latest Chromebook from Google. It's $650. It's beautiful. It's a great design. It's super lightweight. Battery lasts for 12 hours. But the reality is that does not work for my situation because I'm on TV and I edit video, and I edit video for a living. And so for me, I need to be able to use Final Cut Pro or Adobe Rush on my system to cut video. And so for that reason, a Chromebook just doesn't work. As much as I love it and as much as I believe in it and I think it's great for a lot of people, for me, it doesn't work. And I think that's just what it comes down to everyone. Is what is best for you. And Gary, I don't think there's a reason why you need to push yourself over. You know, you told me you love Windows 10. You've had no problems with it. So stick with what works. And that's the beauty of having choice, right?
Right. Well, now I just have to figure out, again, even with Microsoft OneDrive, there's quirky things. I use mobile Word. And unfortunately, when you use mobile Word on your iPhone, if you have not opened up a Word document within 30 days, you can't do so until you get back to the Wi-Fi.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my gosh, we're in a third world country, I think, when compared to other countries and our Wi-Fi. It's crazy. But anyway, I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, you're welcome. The only other thing I would add is that I am continually impressed because I use a lot of Google Drive, and I can't believe how on an airplane Google Drive downloads a bunch of stuff in the background. I'm not saying all your files, but if I need to create a file or look at something that I've looked at recently, it keeps a copy of that on my system. And so I'm actually always impressed at just how good they are at doing that. Matthew is in Los Angeles. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. I've got a question. I've got a mid-2012 Retina display 15-inch MacBook Pro where I kept getting a kernel panic error, and it's going to cost me $900 to repair, or should I just bite the bullet and buy a brand new one? I'm torn.
I hear you, because this just happened to me. My computer, my MacBook Pro, is just going along on its merry old way, and next thing you know, the hard drive just, I don't know what happened. It was something. It was either the hard drive or the logic board, whatever it was, but my computer would turn on, but it wouldn't do anything. It just didn't work. And so I bring it in, and what do they say? $600 to repair it. And of course, you come to this crossroads because you say, look, I already spent a couple $1,000 in this computer. It works. Everything else is fine. You can do the repair, and it'll be just fine. But I think there is an equation of time, and you're talking about a 2012 computer, which is going on 7 years old. And you're talking about spending $900 in that computer. How much did this computer cost you when you got it?
Like $3,200. It was the first Retina display model of the 15-inch.
Right. So you're talking. I mean, that's an expensive computer, and it's probably served you pretty well for that time. So, $900, I would say. Now, have you gotten multiple quotes, or is this from Apple?
Apple, multiple quotes. I went to the Mac Fusion in Seal Beach after I took it to the Brea Apple store, and so I've gone to two places, and first it's a hard drive, and then the tech looked into it more and said, no, it looks like it's the logic board, or because your hard drive's just fine. So
right. Yeah, I would say at this point, I would probably not spend another $900 on this computer, because now you're talking to get the value out of that computer, you'd probably want to use it for another year or two. And 2012 MacBook, depending on what you're doing on it, could last for that long, and it's probably, it's okay. But I would say probably put that $900 towards a new computer. And if you want, you might be able to get some money for this computer, maybe put it on eBay or something like that. Someone will buy it for the parts. But good question, Matthew. I know it's so tough to part with these machines that we spend so much money on. You're listening to Rich DeMuro here on The Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo if you want to get your question on the air. Welcome back to The Tech Guy, where we're talking about technology and taking your calls, demystifying all the tech around your house, helping you figure out the right stuff to buy, the right apps to use. You got a question for me? Give me a call. 888-827-5536. 1-8888-ASK-LEO. 1-8888-ASK-LEO. In case you haven't noticed, this is Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte today. So thanks, Leo, for letting me take over the show. Let's go to Karen in Silverado, California. Karen, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Southern California Edison shut off my power on Wednesday because of the fires. And ever since then, my internet doesn't work on my laptop, and it doesn't work or my Alexa doesn't work as well.
Okay, so do you have anything that works with your Wi-Fi? What kind of internet do you have?
My TV works and my cell phone works.
Okay, and now, so any other Wi-Fi device in the house besides those?
No.
And on your phone, are you going through Wi-Fi or are you going through the cellular connection? Do you know?
Cellular connection.
Okay. I think what happened is something when the power came back on. Is the power on at this point?
Yes.
Okay. I think when the power came back on, something misfired, and your router sounds like you need to unplug everything and plug it back in. So do you know where the internet comes into your house?
Yeah.
So there's like a box, like a black box that it's connected to?
I'd have to go look, but I'm assuming so.
Yeah. So usually on that box, well, you can't see it while we're on the phone because I'm curious if the lights are lit up on that box because there's a whole bunch of status lights, and if they're not completely lit up, or usually there's a problem. So what I think happened is something just didn't work when everything came back to life, or maybe it was put in the wrong order. So what I would do is I would unplug the black box, which is called your router, that comes into your house from the wall, wait 30 seconds, and then plug it back in. And I think that's going to take care of your problem. But because Alexa, the two devices that you were talking about, the Alexa and the other one, are both Wi-Fi devices. And so the reason they're not working is because they're not getting a Wi-Fi signal. The reason your phone is working is because it's using its cellular signal. So you're using all your cellular data. Now the TV, when you say the TV's working, what do you mean by that? Do you have like Netflix or anything? Or just regular TV?
I just have regular TV.
Okay. So regular TV's working because that's just coming in over a separate pipe. And so if you tried to use like Netflix or anything, it probably wouldn't work. But I think this is a pretty simple problem that just needs a reboot, and it should work. But again, I would pull the plug out, find the black box that what's your internet company?
Cox.
Okay. So it might be a box that says Cox on it. It might be a box that says, Motorola. Depends. It's a modem box. And the coax cable goes into the back of that box. So look for that box, not your cable box. That's something different. This is another one. And it has a bunch of lights on the front that light up, and they should flicker when things are working. But that's it. Just unplug that, and if it doesn't work, I would call your cable company for sure. But I think that's going to take care of it. And then give everything a couple seconds to kind of find that network once again. But yeah. How many days has this been?
5.
Oh my gosh, you waited 5 days? What have you been doing in the meantime? how have you survived?
Because I have email on my phone, so I just use my phone.
Okay, got it. All right, Karen, and let me know. Tweet me. Are you on Twitter or Instagram @RichOnTech? And let me know. I want to know if that worked, because it seems like it's a pretty simple solution. I hope that's what's going on at your place.
Because I've tried unplugging the
Alexa.
Yes,
yeah.
Plugging it back, it still doesn't work.
Yeah, see, that's not going to work because it's still not going to find that signal, because it's just not the signal. The Wi-Fi signal is not being emitted by your device right now, or if it is, it's not. It doesn't carry an internet signal with it, and that's what's going on here. So, I think the unplug should work, and once you do that, let's fingers crossed it all comes back to life.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye.
Bye. Curtis is in Victorville, California. Curtis, you're on with Rich. Hello, Curtis. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, let's see. I can't get Curtis on here. Here we go. Curtis, you're on with Rich? Nope. Okay. Well, you know what? So I knew it would happen at some point. What did I do to the phones here? I don't know what happened, but that didn't exactly work. All right, well, let's try this. Let's try Tim in Riverside. You're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich. How's it going?
Oh, better than Curtis's call. Sorry, I've locked him out somehow.
Yeah, I'm interested in getting a Epson EcoTank printer, and we went to the store to look at them, and all the new ones, they don't have a place like a regular printer for a flash drive to plug it into. Is there a way to do that?
You want to plug a flash drive into what? Print pictures off of the flash drive?
Correct.
Well, I think the reason why they've stopped doing that is because so many people are doing this from their phones. So are you opposed to doing it from your phone?
Well, we have business flash drives that we can't go through our phones to do it.
Oh, okay.
So we can just plug the flash drive directly into it, and then we can get what we want printed off.
Can you do the same thing with a memory card, perhaps, or no? Does it have to be the flash drive?
And it has to be a flash drive, but they just eliminated that slot, apparently.
Yeah.
There's a model that's got it.
Well, I would probably say, can you find the model that has it and just buy it on eBay, perhaps?
Yeah, I haven't. We went to our friendly electronics store, and they don't know of anyone that has one that does that.
Do you know the model number?
Off my head, I don't know it.
I think the thing to do is to find the model that has it on there, and you could probably just search or maybe just do some research online. Just type Epson USB port and see if you can get the model number of the one that has it. All the ones that I'm seeing online right now, they all they basically either have the memory card slot, like an SD card slot, or, I mean, the thing that everyone's trying to do is really print from their phone. So you have a specific business application. You may have to look even into the business line of the Epson printers, because they may have that on the business line, but not on the home line of printers, because that's definitely a feature that is useful. But it's one of these things that the average person nowadays is really going towards SD card. Now I'm looking on the website, and there is an Epson Expression Premium XP 640, which looks like it has one. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, this one has a USB slot right here.
Expression 640.
Yeah, Expression 640, and it's $150, and it's got built-in USB and card slots for PC free printing.
And that's a tank printer.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think the regular printers do have it, but their tank printers don't.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you're kind of looking for that combination of features that you specifically need. But I think, I mean, it seems like, yeah, you're looking for a tank one. Yeah, because this one has it as well. This one may have a tank on it. I think, have you been on the website to look at all the different models? Because there are a lot of them. And it seems like some of them have it, some of them don't, but it's not something that they haven't fully gotten rid of it. Let's put it that way. So,
hey, how you doing?
But yeah, I would look at that and just go on their website and see what's happening there. But good question. I know it's everyone has switched to kind of printing off our phones. And a little tip for you out there, download the app for your Wi-Fi printer to your phone, and you can print from your phone. That's the easiest way I've found to do that. So if you have an HP printer, just download the HP app, and you should be able to print to your printer without a lot of effort right from your smartphone. I'm Rich DeMuro, filling in for Leo Laporte. We'll have more of your questions at 8888 Ask Leo, 8888 Ask Leo. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro with you here, talking about technology, talking about all kinds of lots of good questions today. Thanks for joining me on the show. In for Leo Laporte, who's on vacation, but someone who is not on vacation, Dick DeBartolo, the Giz Wiz. What's up? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I usually see you on some sort of crowded show floor. Generally. And I said, hey,
Yeah.
What's up, Dick?
Yeah, I know. We'll be doing that. Oh, my gosh. We'll be doing that like in 2 months again.
Oh, see, yes, already.
Yeah,
huh?
we'll go hunting around together to see if Foldy Mate has advanced at all. You were the one that saw it in action.
Yes.
This will be the 5th or 6th CES. This is a machine that can take your clothes and fold it up, and you're the only one I know who actually saw it work.
Well, and I posted that video. You know, that video on my Facebook page did 15 million views.
Well, not only that, we ran your video on the Gizwiz. We said our good friend Rich DeMuro will not mind if we also run his video.
Absolutely not. I'll have my copyright lawyers look into that. No, I'm just kidding. No, the more the merrier. It's funny, people always steal my stuff off Instagram, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. As long as, you credit me, it's fine.
No,
anyway.
That's great. That's great.
All right, what's going on?
All right, so I have a new gadget from LumaCharge. Probably saw this at CES, and it's out now. It's called the LumaCharge Smart Lamp 2.0. And what's neat about this is it's a great desk lamp. So it has 3 brightness levels. They call it white, soft yellow. So you can pick any of those 3. Then there are 10 dimming levels for that, so you can get it the way you want. Then there is a stand on the front with a little dial. So you dial whether you want the lightning connector, USB-C, or micro USB, and you can stand your phone in that. But wait, there's more. Behind where that phone stands, you can lay another phone if it's a wireless charging equipped phone, and it'll charge it that way. In the stem of the lamp, there is the day, the date, day of the week, and the temperature. That is also an alarm clock with a snooze alarm.
Wow.
There's a little window that sees if you are getting up in the middle of the night, it'll turn on a night light so you can make your way to the light switch.
What doesn't it do?
It's on the pricey side. It's $149.99, and on Amazon right now there's click this for 10% off, so that brings it down to $135. However, the version 1 is still available, and noticing the box that it came in, the box shows all the same features except the lower price one, or the original one, the 1.0. That's $120, and that just does not have wireless charging.
Okay, so if you don't need that, you can save
If you don't need that, you can save some money. And when you click on that, WikiBuy comes up and says you can get it for about $100 at a different source than Amazon. But it's a lot of stuff, and it's good looking. It bends forward. It turns a lot. I have a current desk lamp I like, but then if I need to spin it, it doesn't turn far enough. So this can rotate 180 degrees. I think it's pretty clever.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. LumaCharge Smart Lamp 2.0 is the one that has the wireless charging, and the lower price one has all the USB in the back and the turn wheel in the front. And all the things, date, time, snooze, alarm, etc.
All right, tell me about the brand new What the Heck Is game.
Okay, well, that's for you to guess, for people to guess. It started here in November, and if you click on that, just scan down, Rich, and let me just see if you could guess what the old one was. Just go down a little further.
Okay, from last week?
Okay, I actually gave it away.
Oh, it's too late. Yeah, I already see the answer.
Exactly.
Censored paparazzi glasses.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is for people to make up stupid things for it, like world's most horrible looking sunglasses. And someone thought it was a way to hang earphones. So you can win by guessing the absolute wrong thing. We like that a lot. And do you want to take a guess at that? Any idea what that is?
It looks like some sort of phone holder, but I'm not sure. I don't want to, I don't know.
No, that's okay. People have 2 months, and at the end of the year, we'll give away Mad issue 11. Since the LA Mad, they've started numbering it 1 again.
It looks like one of those things that they used to measure your body fat with. That's what it looks like to me.
That's a great answer.
All right,
says
Dick.
the man who has no body fat.
Oh, no. Gizwiz.biz is your website. Thanks for joining me. We are going to see you at CES. I can't wait.
And I'll see you next week, too.
And I'll see you next week as well. So go to the website, gizwiz.biz for that. Let me get to Curtis in Victorville. Curtis, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich.
How's it going?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, sorry about that. We had a little problem. No one had a little problem except me with the phones.
Oh, well, might have not been all on your end. Who knows? Anyway, my question is I have an iPhone 5S, and I'm wondering what the future of that phone is. I heard you talking earlier about some updates. I haven't updated it in probably a year and a half. And the second part of my question is the iWatch, Apple Watch.
Sure.
I get the red circle with the exclamation mark in it, and I'm just wondering if it's a way to save that as well.
I would say for the first question, your phone is unaffected by this software update I was talking about in the show earlier, which it's for the iPhone 5. So I think the 5S is okay. But I still would recommend doing a software update in general, just to get your phone up to date. I don't think it can handle iOS 13. I think the minimum on that is a 6S. So you'll probably be stuck with iOS 12, but I'd probably do that. With the Apple Watch, have you tried a force restart?
Yes.
And what happens? It still continues to do that?
Yeah, it continues, yes.
Okay. Even with the force restart, it just pops up with that little logo that looks like you said a red something?
A red circle with an exclamation mark in it?
Yeah, that can't be good. Have you taken it to an Apple store?
No.
Okay. I think it might be time to take it to an Apple store. What version of that watch is it?
I'm not sure.
How long ago did you get it? A year ago, 2 years?
About 2.5 years ago.
Okay. It's probably either a 2 or a 3 series. I would take it to the Apple store and see what they say. They can do a diagnostic and see if it's truly gone forever, or maybe they just have to do something and connect it to iTunes and get it going again. I don't know. But that would be my advice for that, because Apple products, sometimes they give you these scary things, but it's a very simple software fix, and you just need to know the right combination to get that to work. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Tech Guy. Thanks so much for Leo for letting me sit in your chair here. You can find me, Rich DeMuro, on Facebook, facebook.com/RichOnTech, Twitter @RichDeMuro, and Instagram @RichOnTech. And if you like me here, check out my podcast. It's called Rich on Tech. I kind of do the same thing. Have a lot of fun, answer your questions, and talk tech. And of course, my book on Amazon, 101 iPhone Tips and Tricks, makes a great gift this holiday season. I'll see you on the next show. Thanks so much for listening. Have a fantastic day. Don't let those gadgets get you down. Enjoy them. I'm Rich DeMuro. See you next time.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, TWIT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.